Exactly. All right, we got to get one more group in here before we're officially going here for a Saturday night episode of Mile High Insiders. There we are. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to an episode, like I said, of Mile High Insiders, the original two here. It's been a bit, Luke. How are you doing, man? My man, Luke. Good to see you.
It's not a mirage. It's not a dream. It is Nick Kendell in the house on Saturday Night MHI. I'm doing good, buddy. It was good to catch up with you a few minutes before the show started. Summer's over, training camp's over. We are on the verge of hitting the regular season, Nick, which means we are all back in full force for Broncos football. Pumped to see you, buddy. And I am pumped to get this next preseason game out of the way so we can start talking Broncos regular season. I know you're as anxious as I am, but you know what? Football is back in the Mile High City tonight. I'm pumped. We're going to talk Rams. We're going to talk the quarterbacks. We're going to talk a little bit of everything. So I'm pumped to have you back, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a hot second. I feel like this has been 3 or 4 episodes that we hadn't linked up like this. So it's great to have everybody. Great to have Luke. Great to have myself, and great to have everybody in here join us in the chat today. Also, shout out to Chad, who's working the behind the scenes here, the boss man. Always appreciate him being around. But like I said, guys, this is Mile High Insiders. We're coming at you live every single Saturday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time PM. I got to throw that out there these days since we have the morning show now as well. So 6 o'clock PM Saturdays, we'll be here going live. You guys can follow both Luke and myself on Twitter, Luke Patterson at Luke Patterson LP, and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. And while you guys are over there, make sure you follow us also at MHI_football pod, short and sweet. You can always see our content afterwards or comment on those. We'll get to those. Also, guys, follow us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are joining us on Facebook today, first click the thumbs up, click a like react, click a heart react. Shout out to my mother, mom, you number one, Chris Kendall. Well, I give him the heart there, but also Dave Glassman giving the heart.
I'm trying to flash my gang sign heart. I'm not very good at it. So yeah, if you give us those thumbs up and the hearts, that'd be very, very appreciated. Speaking of giving us those hearts, what you could also give us a subscription. Help MHH get to 150 or more subscriptions. Right now, we're sitting at 45%. That's 114 out of 250 subscribers. Nick, you know as well as I do, you're also host of Building the Broncos on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Mountain. Our support is deep, so deep. Yeah, so what do we want to do? We want to start giving back with some of that support. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about $500,000 stars. Now, 500,000, right? What does that mean, Nick? That means that if you start sending in stars and start generating enough raffle tickets, you're going to get a very special Von Miller jersey. Chad told me right before the show, you're also going to get a special MHH surprise gift. I'm super pumped to find out what that's going to be. The leaderboard has been hot ever since this started, and we've got to give huge shout out to our number one guy, Stu McPeak, coming in right now, almost at 43,000. Followed up behind him is Randy Jones at 35,000, almost 36. Andrew Lampy's short right behind them all, man. This is close. And then you got Travis Weber coming in at 4, and then Howie frickin' Day to round out the top 5. Our guy, Michael Branquillo. How are you? Go Broncos. Good to see you there at number 6. Simon Webb at number 7 with almost 20,000 stars, folks. Number 8, we've got our guy Travis Turbox, 12,800 stars. Thank you very much. Our guy Gary Leeds Palmer. How you doing, Gary? Sitting there at 12,000. And Andrew Baker at number 10 with man, look at how close this is. Look at how close all these stars are. Guys, if you want to break in the top 10 tonight, get a shout out from Nick and yours truly. Give us those little stars. You will have a chance to win a Von Miller jersey and a very special MHH gift to be announced. Man, that's exciting. What else is exciting?
It is exciting.
Our stream's exciting. I want to give a few shout out to some folks. Our guy Stu McPeak, we said what's up to him and Michael Branquillo earlier. Also want to say what's up to our guy Dylan. Dylan's always working really hard for us. Anthony Gage, G-Pops 59, DeAndre Weatherspoon. How are you, brother? Desert Creature. Man, we got a lot of eyes on us tonight, and we got a lot of guys and gals excited for Broncos football. Nick, we've missed each other. And what we haven't missed is a firestorm on social media, buddy. It seems like Broncos country has just been ripe with all kinds of fire on social media, to say the least. But it's been a while since you and I have gotten to talk football, Broncos football. I'm just going to throw it out here, shot out of a cannon right away. The quarterback situation. Teddy Bridgewater was named the starting quarterback. What does that mean for the 2021 Denver Broncos, in your opinion?
It means that this team is gearing up to take advantage of this roster right now, and they think that they really just need a point guard, somebody who can sustain long drives to win some football games with this roster right now. Now, is Teddy going to reinvent the wheel? Is he going to go toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert in the AFC West to win football games? No, but there are probably 5 quarterbacks in the entire league that can do that. You have to hope that this Broncos team surrounds the quarterback, is talented enough, especially with the defensive roster they have, that they can play a different style of football game than those teams. Play their own game. It's kind of like, I like to cross-reference like basketball here. You have those old like Butler teams back in like when Stevenson was the head coach there, and they'd play like all those fast-paced games, 80 to 90. Then Butler would come, they'd use the full shot clock, and they'd beat teams like 50 to 40. Maybe it's not the prettiest in the world. It's not this high Star Wars number, but you can win football games that way if you have a good enough defense and you surround the quarterback with enough talent. And I think on paper, this team looks like they could have that around Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's a respectable quarterback. I think you know what you're getting with Teddy Bridgewater, which is why Vic Fangio has leaned this way. I'm ultimately really curious to decide who made this decision. I don't think we'll ever know. Maybe one day, years down the road, it'll slip out in a bar or something, because you get a couple cold pops in, guys, as you know, Nick, the secrets start flowing. Yeah. But it is what it is. Here's what I'll say for Drew Lock. Drew Lock improved significantly at training camp. He had one bad practice, but hey, so did Teddy. They both, I mean, it was just bizarre, Nick. It was an every other day kind of thing, lackadaisical. And then they waited to the very last second in the preseason to both turn it on. I fully expect Drew Lock to improve and embrace his role as a quality teammate and a quarterback that's one play away from getting in the game. I've said it repeatedly ad nauseum, you will see both of these quarterbacks starting by hook or by crook. Does not matter. Could be injury, could be poor play. Drew Lock is going to start games for the Denver Broncos this year, folks. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen, because with the addition of another NFL game, the chances of running with your starters from the start to end, it just doesn't happen, Nick. So for everyone that is disappointed, it doesn't mean we need to go out there and start bashing Teddy. Just hang in there, because you're going to see Drew. And based off of what he's shown me, his work in the offseason and in training camp, I'm excited to see what he's going to do in preparation, waiting in the shadows, so to speak.
Yeah, it's talking about the quarterbacks here. We got Richard Sommers coming in here with the $5 super over on YouTube. Guys, if you're joining us on YouTube today, please subscribe, like, and share. Also click that little bell notification so you know when we go live. But Richard coming in here saying, I know it's off topic. That's okay, Richard. But with the Tua speculation, stood on him as a prospect in Denver coming out in the draft. Luke, did you have a lot of thoughts on Tua Tagovailoa?
I never saw it as a fit for the Denver Broncos. He's an interesting player. I think that's he's probably one of the best teammates that you could ever ask for. Speaking of good teammates, and your role and what he's done with Alabama, it's unquestionable. You cannot deny him that. Now, I just never saw him as a fit. He's a left-handed quarterback, right? If memory serves. It's been so long since I've watched a Dolphins game, let alone NFL regular season games. So I always have a little bit of hesitancy with left-handed quarterbacks to begin with. So that's nothing to do with Tua. I'm very interested to see how his career progresses with the Dolphins. I do like Brian Flores a lot. Got to chat with him and see his coaching staff at the Senior Bowl last year. Was extremely impressed. Matt Rule, not so much. But that coaching staff out there in Miami, I'm curious to see what Tua could do with a quality defense. Now, there's no Fitz magic there to save him and kind of pull him out of the fire. That's good. Tua's used to playing in fire games. He's from Alabama, University of Alabama, for Christ's sakes. Let this man play. I get it. There's all kinds of injury concerns, but I'm excited to see what Tua can do.
Yeah, and I think Richard's coming in here as far as linking Tua potentially to the Broncos, because there has been some Deshaun Watson talk of Deshaun Watson going from the Houston Texans to the Miami Dolphins. Now, you wouldn't catch me making a move right now for Deshaun Watson, given everything that's surrounding him right now. I mean, gosh darn, it's FBI for human trafficking going on there right now. So I don't know. But as far as Tua goes, it's just a personal preference thing for me. I think Tua is a fine quarterback, but investing a very early pick on a quarterback who is as pocket specific, I guess, or pocket limited as Tua is, it just kind of makes me a little weary. Now, I know that Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, a lot of great quarterbacks have been pretty good in the NFL as these pure pocket passers, but I am of the belief that the game has changed. You need guys who can extend plays outside of the pocket, beyond the X's and O's. So I'm not the biggest guy. I wasn't the biggest fan of Tua coming out because of that. I didn't see him as a playmaker. But that said, let's say that the Dolphins are ready to move on from him and they are willing to take, something like a second and third for him. I would be interested in bringing him in. Now, I think he's one of those guys who will always be as good as the weapons around him, as his pass protection is. I don't think he's a creator, but if you are a good enough GM and you believe in yourself to surround that quarterback with quality options on the offensive line and pass catchers, he can succeed. I fully do believe that.
Quality options on the offensive line, Nick. That brings me to a really good segue, if you will, into what we can look for with the Broncos offensive line, not only in 2021, but tonight. Now, I'm not sure if the whole starting unit's going to play. I would doubt it, right? I don't think we're going to see Teddy Bridgewater. If we do, it could be a series. I expect Drew Lock to play a lot of this game, and that's great. Drew needs these reps. I think if he goes out and plays amazing, you're going to have everybody chirping, and the question's going to be asked, really? Did y'all make the decision too early? Are we sure that Teddy is not the guy? And then you're going to have other cats, saying, let's just slow down. The Rams don't play anybody in preseason games, so he's playing against 2s and 3s. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Nick, the right tackle position. Have we finally figured it out? Because Vic Fangio said it's Bobby Massey's job to lose. Where does that leave Calvin Anderson, in your opinion?
Calvin Anderson sounds like he's going to be a quality swing tackle that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him out there if the Broncos are, let's say, have a lead and they're looking to go a little bit more of a power run oriented offense, because Calvin Anderson has been kicking ass and taking names. Hopefully I can say that. Sorry, Chad. I think ass is in the Bible. That's okay. Different reference there, but that's Calvin Anderson, specifically with the run game. I'm excited to see him there. I think it is best to have him as a thanks, Jason. Thank you very much. Cute kid. Best to have him as that swing because he is solid at both left and right tackle. The Broncos are paying him like nothing to. Shout out to Calvin Anderson for transforming his game. Shout out to Mike Munchak also for improving him and bringing him along. I mean, an undrafted tackle, that is a rarity in the NFL, because those guys that have the body type to play that tackle, I mean, even if you suck at football, you're probably getting drafted because those body types are that rare. But Calvin Anderson, it's probably Bobby Massey this year. That's fine. I'd also rather have the pass protection first guy, because you're probably not going to kill an offense with a bad run protection snap or a bad run blocking play. You will kill an offense or potentially an entire season with one bag pass blocking play. So I would lean towards Bobby Massey in that regard. And I think it's just a stopgap. But if we can get like a Jared Veldheer season for right tackle, considering how bad right tackle has been for this team, God bless. Give it to me. I'll inject it into my vein. We need that.
No more Juwan James for the Denver Broncos. What the right tackle position will be in the future? Well, it's a lot like the quarterbacks, folks. I think you're going to see both of these guys, Calvin Anderson and Bobby Massey. Bobby Massey to start, but injuries, man. You're going to see a lot of different plug-and-play offensive linemen. You're going to see Quinn Miners playing at left guard tonight. You're then going to see him playing at center. If Drew Lock or that guy just hanging around in the wings, that's going to be a coach, Mr. Rippin, gets killed tonight, it's going to be because of Cam Fleming. I absolutely cannot stand this young man's play. I wish him the best, but he has got to be cut. I do not see him making this team. No way. Keep an eye on that young man out there, because he has been just really, really having a hard time in the preseason. That's something that's going to be tough. But you look at the road graders too, as we talk about the offensive line, Nick, just to finish up the O-line segment here. Natani Moody looking awesome. And I was talking to Carl a week or so ago about Natani Moody, and I'm like, look, man, it was driving me nuts against the Seahawks and against the Vikings, how he's looking back, trying to figure out what's going on. It was just annoying me for no reason. Yeah. Get off my long guy moment. I actually asked Mark Schlereth about it. He's like, no, man, chill out. He's just trying to let his young center, his rookie guy, Quinn Miners, know the play is ready to go. Everything is set. Something along Omaha, if that rings a bell. That's actually what that meant as well. So something to watch as well. Natani Moody has been a road grader, Nick, went out there, and the Broncos have been running the ball. You're going to see Crockett, lots of doses of him. And then they even picked up another running back. I can't remember his name, but he's a beast. I think he's like 6'1", 235 pounds, 240 pounds. He'll be in there tonight, kind of a camp body as well.
Yeah, and absolutely. He's talking about some beasts. We got the star leaders coming in here. Stu McPeak, 6,000 stars. Stu is getting all
Wow.
all of those raffle tickets in there, all those raffle stars in there. So thank you very much, Stu. Also, we got Andrew Lamp coming in here. Andrew Lampy, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. Thank you so much, Andrew. Gary Leeds Palmer and Michael Ronquillo also coming in. Definitely not last or least in my heart. So thank you very much, guys. And Stu McPeak also $20 orange flash in
Wow.
there. Let's go
Thank you,
Broncos
Stu.
from Stu. He's double dipping in here. Thank you so much, Stu. You are a real one. And it's also hi all from Stu. He's saying hi to the chat.
What's up, Stu? How you doing, buddy? He's ready for Broncos football. I am ready for Broncos football as well. It's going to be bizarre. It's the first time you see your Denver Broncos in orange in 2021 at home. Curious to see what the preseason environment's going to be like. Is it going to be loud at the stadium? I would expect so. These people, Nick, I'm out today trying to buy football cleats for my daughter. She's starting flag football. I'm at this sporting goods store. I'm not going to get us in trouble and say where I was, but Nick, I saw so many people wearing orange and blue. I have not seen that in years here in Denver. It has just been a sight for sore eyes today as I've been out bumping around the Mile High City to see folks in their orange and blue. I know our MHH folks have their orange and blue on as well. Yours, look at you, man. You're ready to rock it. Ready to rock it, baby. Ready to rock it. And speaking of blue, guys, if you want to get your swag on like Nick and I get an MHI hat, head on over to the huddleuppod.com store and get your swag on. You can grab yourself a coffee mug when you can catch Nick on his morning show. Man, I don't know how you do morning shows, Tuesday shows. You're just an absolute animal and not show up for Saturday shows. Had to take a shot there. But no, get your swag on, grab a hat. Those boys at the Huddle Up store would appreciate it as well. Tons of Huddle Up gear, Dove Valley Deep Diver gear, building the Broncos gear. And yeah, just get your support on. I see so many folks out there at training camp too, Nick, wearing MHH gear. It's really, really cool to see, man. The MHH crew is alive and it's well.
Yeah, man, it's great to see. It's great to hear. I want to talk a little bit more about this game here. Yeah, I love the old school shirt. Are you? I have the obviously the current Bronco logo in the background. Are you a fan of the old school D? Should they bring back the D? Are you thinking the
bring back the D immediately? Here's the thing though. Is it weird that I kind of want the D to be brought back with a new owner and like just a fresh start? Like I want it to I want it to wait. Like I want everything to be kind of a fresh, clean start. I don't know. I don't want that D to be tarnished with anyone getting fired or anything like that at the head coaching job or a quarterback not being figured out. I just want Aaron Rodgers to be here next year, the team to have an owner, and us to go back to the old school D. Is that too much to ask?
Man, yeah, 2023 quarterback class looks pretty good, Luke. Maybe that's the year. Bryce Young, DJ Ungalele,
Arch Manning. When's Arch Manning available? 2024? 2025? 20 okay, all right, because I'm holding out on Arch Manning right now. I know you guys, you and Eric and Carl, you guys are animals and you're already into the draft, but no, let's open it up. You want to talk a little Rams? I want to talk Rams too. Here's a question I have for you that's more of a philosophy question because I think it applies to the Denver Broncos tonight. Nick, you're going to see 3 starters that have not played an ounce of preseason football in Cortland Sutton and Von Miller, both coming back from knee injuries, and then also Melvin Gordon. Is that a wise decision considering Sean McVay and the LA Rams don't play anybody in the preseason? What are your thoughts on that philosophy overall? Is it a good decision, bad decision, or you need to get these guys out here just for a sniff of action?
I'll be honest, I hate it. It scares the living heck out of me. You're talking about Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. I would not be playing any of the starters out there. And it's not just because it's a meaningless football game. Now, I know they're out there getting reps. They're getting the jitters out since they haven't been there in a while. But you're talking about going up against like the Rams' third, fourth, and fifth string players. And these guys are out there. They're going to be giving everything they have to go out there and win a spot. And they're going to be playing, some of them I bet will be playing recklessly because of that as well. So, I am scared to death of somebody like Von Miller or Cortland Sutton re-aggravating something. Everyone knock on wood for that. I guess hats off to them for wanting to play. I know that's kind of in their nature, like they're never going to not want to play, but I wouldn't have done it. I think Sean McVay's probably got the right idea of like I would maybe play like my starters in like 1 or 2 series in one of the preseason game. But after that, like you're getting your work done in training camp, you're getting your work done in practices, you're getting your work done at home. I'm not sure how much they're obviously improving in the preseason games. but the risk of the injury, man, I don't know. It scares the heck out of me.
Are you superstitious or kind of stitious?
I am risk averse, I guess is how I'll put it.
I knew you were gonna say something along those lines. I couldn't. I wasn't gonna pick those, but man, I got a bad feeling about this one, man.
Oh,
No,
don't
just a
say
hunch. The hair on the back of my neck is
Ugh.
up. I don't know if it's gonna be those guys, but I'm afraid it's gonna be someone of significance, because bizarre things happen for no apparent reason at all, man. I don't need to see Lloyd Cushenberry out there playing into the third quarter like we did in the very first preseason game. I don't think you're gonna see that. It bugged me a little bit when Vaughn was like, I don't want to play on the turf, because I was like, well, I don't really care what you think. That should be the coach's decision. But hey, you got to be careful. Nobody knows these. I don't know these guys. I don't know how they're progressing with their knees. So I'm not going to pretend to be the doctor and say, get out there, everything's fine. You could tell they're trying to bring along Cortland much slower than they're trying to bring along Vaughn, because they're obviously two different men, two different positions, two different styles of play. And speaking of that, Andrew weighing in, got to get that fear out of their heads. So hopefully they have confidence going into the Giants. Andrew, I like that. Bradley Chubb at times last year, Nick, seemed to be playing a little bit hesitant. I'm not going to say scared, because I think the man's an absolute beast on the field, and he is not fearful at all. And we'll talk about him v. Bowles here in a little bit as well. I want to pick your brain on that. But it took Bradley Chubb just a little bit up until that New York Jets game to return to his old self. Do you think Von Miller is ready to return to his old self? And what about that guy named Courtland Sutton?
I think Vaughn's probably more likely to return to his self this year than Courtland Sutton, based on what I've seen and heard. Now, what do I mean by old self for Von Miller? I'm not expecting Von Miller of the 2015 defense. Literally the best defensive player in football. Sorry, that's not Von anymore. He's still a top 10 defensive player and one of the top 10 pass rushers in football. That's more than fine. But he's not in the tier of like Myles Garrett or Aaron Donald right now as a defensive player. That's fine. I think he's going to be great this year. So I'm not that worried about him in that regard. Courtland Sutton, it just seems like he's coming along slowly. What's fortunate for the Broncos is they have depth at the wide receiver position coming out both wazoos. So if Courtland Sutton has to be brought along slowly, getting his confidence back up, starting to trust his legs, not running routes against air, et cetera, Broncos, I think, can afford that. Now, and also another thing that helps is the somewhat softer schedule to start the year. Now, that Giants defense, really good, really underrated, actually. I'm actually a little concerned about the Giants' interior defensive line versus the Broncos' interior offensive line. But as far as the defense goes, they're going to be good. The other Giants and the Jets, though, not very good.
They had a linebacker today that got suspended for PED, I think, for the Giants. I can't remember the name. I wasn't sure if he was a starter. I did see that come across the ticker. So, yeah, that team is out of control out there in New York. Yeah. It's just, it's absolutely bizarre. But what's not bizarre? You're joining us on Game Night Broncos Country. He is Nick Kendell. I am Luke Patterson. Michael Runquillo, a good friend of the show, good friend of yours and mine, saying Broncos Country. Be sure to click those thumbs up. Those thumbs up mean the world to us. We really, really appreciate it. Kane Dawson coming in. Luke, I hope you didn't jinx the team. I feel you, man. And we don't need any of those Jinxie Cat vibes around here. It's just weird things happen, man, at the end of the season. And I hope we're not there. Mark weighing in. I'll donate my wife's false teeth. Jeez. Mark, what
is happening here?
Mark's ready for some football, man. This is the time, right, where guys will be guys, I guess, and we definitely have one of us going out there already. Nick, speaking of O-line and D-line, Bradley Chubb, Garrett Bowles, what's going on with those guys? I was out there during the first fight, if we want to call it a fight, and at least that's the way I wrote it up on my training camp journal. But apparently they're getting into another scrap. It's the second time that Garrett Bowles has left the field to kind of cool off and work some things out on his own. But what do you weigh into that? Should Broncos Country be worried about their star pass rusher and then their all-pro left tackle getting after each other more than once in the training camp?
I don't think so. These guys are going up against each other constantly. They're both, I think Von Miller blamed it on their zodiac signs being not very coherent.
Is that
okay, Von?
I love it.
God, what a goob.
Von's a pops now, man. He's putting everything in perspective.
Yeah, he's always been he's a dork at heart. I love Von. But I think that it's that point of training camp where these twos are going at it a lot, and also both of them are very good at their craft. So I'm sure going at each other constantly has been infuriating because they're not used to getting got very often, and both those guys kind of know each other, know how to dig at each other. So it's not going to be an issue anymore because we're coming to a close of that. Next week is essentially a bye week of sorts leading up to that week 1 game versus the Giants. So I'm not putting anything into it. Now, I do think put it in your cap maybe for a year from now when training camp comes back around next year, because you have Garrett Bowles and Bradley Chubb going at it again. Maybe they'll be a little bit like, oh, God, here we go again for training camp with those two. But for this season, I don't think it's a big deal.
Big O used to tell me, Orlando Franklin, he used to tell me that him and Derek Wolfe would intentionally say, look, we're going to fight today before practice, just to try to end practice a little bit earlier for those two. And they're just, two fiery competitors getting after, and they're like, look, man, we gotta start squashing practice. This is absolutely killing us. So I don't think anything like that is going on, but I'm happy to see it, Nick. I've been asking for a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of spice, if you will, from this football team that hasn't had it, that has been on life support, if you will. And I'm happy to see an angry Garrett Bowles. I'm happy to see an angry Bradley Chubb, because this football team has been awful, god awful. And that should make them mad. They've been part of the team. They haven't been the problems, but they're damn sure going to be the solution coming up. Gary Leeds Palmer knows what I'm talking about, saying iron sharpens iron. Go for it, boys. Iron sharpens iron always makes me think of DeMarcus Ware, right? In America's Game, that was his thing, man. Iron sharpens iron. That could probably be the best transition away from Bowles and Chubb. And let's talk a little bit about the game tonight. I saw some predictions, some questions. What are we predicting for the score? We'll save that for the very end. That's kind of how we're going to go, Albert. But what can we expect from Pat Shurmur's offense tonight, Nick? You're going to see some starters for just a little bit, and then you're going to see a lot of backup players. I think they should let Drew Lock let it rip. I think they should find out what they've got in some of their third-string running backs, see who is hungry enough to make this team. And running backs go down a lot too, folks. You're going to need more than these backs that you currently have on this roster to make it through a whole season, in my opinion. And I think this running back roster is loaded. But Mike Boone being hurt, that does you absolutely no favors. Do you see the offensive game plan tonight being towards a Drew Lock run and gun kind of style, or are we going to just pound the clock? We're going to just show our new offensive line, ease them into the NFL finale of the preseason game?
I don't know how much we'll be able to take from it, given how Sean McVay historically does not play starters at all. And now we're essentially in the 4th preseason game of sorts at what it used to be the 4th. So I'm guessing not only is it the talent that they're going to be going against, guys who are going to be majority will not be on teams come a week from now. Also, I think that you're going to see very simple schematic calls here for the Rams and the Broncos as well. So I think it's just simply going out there, executing the offense, protecting the football, doing the right read based on the coverage. And if you go out there and don't play too much, like Gunslinger Drew is very fun and he creates the highlights and whatnot, but that's not what they're looking for right now. That's not consistent down to down. We need consistent down to down Drew. And I think if that's something that he's taken away from losing this competition, it's that consistency is key. Making the right read is key. Getting into the right run checks based on the read pre-snap. I mean, just something as simple as that is so important for him, not only getting a chance with the Broncos going forward, but in the NFL in general going forward. And he has improved there, no doubt. But it's something that you're going to have to continue to prove that you've done it because of the struggles he's had through meaningful football to date.
Folks, we are about 35 minutes away from kickoff, the finale of the preseason, as the Los Angeles Rams are taking on your Denver Broncos. And I would urge everybody, head on over to milehighhuddle.com and check out one of our latest articles that Chad Jensen wrote, editor and co-host of the Huddle Up Pod, about 5 key storylines that you should watch at least when this game is on. I know a lot of Broncos country. I take notes every game, Nick. I know you do as well. And then we have to go back, rewatch, figure out who's going to get cut, those kinds of things in these preseason games. We'll be up late tonight, folks, but Broncos country, they take a lot of mental notes as these games go on. I always love these articles, kind of foreshadowing some things that are asking a lot of questions. We're wondering about the young defensive backfield. What's that going to look like tonight? You've seen a lot of success from one Caden Stearns. The linebacking core, Justin Sternad, has got a very bright future. Our boy Lance Anderson is somewhere smiling. He's been giving me hell over that because I'm like, dude, I got to see it after the injury. He was right. I am seeing it at training camp. That number 40 and number 30 are all over the field, Nick. What do you make of some of the younger defensive linebackers? Baron Browning is going to be out there. Jonathan Cooper, I know you love him. And then one Caden Stearns. Vic Fangio's definitely got talent in that depth chart of the defense as well.
I'm really excited to see those guys on defense in this game, but I'll be honest with you, I need to see. It's really stupid to say, but I want to see the Rams score some points because I need to see what these special teams look like, right? Like I need to see the Broncos not scoring on offense because we need to see what the punt team looks like or getting 3 and out so we can see how the punt coverage team looks like. And that's what's really important with the depth of this defense. So obviously Vic Fangio, as much as he ever does in a press conference, kind of laid into Tom McMahon and the special teams. And that's something I'm really looking forward to analyzing from the depth of this defense. Also looking forward to more stars, guys. It's superstars coming in here. Stu McPeak, 6,000. Andrew Lampy, 1, 2, 3, 4. Gary Leeds Palmer, 500. And Michael Ronquillo with 400. God bless you guys. And if you guys are in the chat right now on Facebook, if you get the star donations in, you get a chance to win a Von Miller jersey, as well as a little secret gift here from Mile High Huddle. Also, don't want to spoil that. We're going to keep that close to the vest until the time has come. But make sure you guys get those stars in so you get a chance to win those big prizes and keep the ball rolling.
Folks, the stars are coming in fast and furious right now as we watch this live time. We are just a little bit 30 minutes away from kickoff, and we've already got lots of stars rocking here on MHI tonight. You guys absolutely rock. Nick, MHH, and yours truly, appreciate it very much. It's very humbling for us. It allows us to do what we do, and that's cover football and analyze football. And, man, I'm just excited. I think a home game is going to energize these players, Nick. They're going to be playing in front of their friends and family. They've had family out there watching them at training camp. For some of these guys, Nick, this could be the last time they ever strap it up. Those shoulder pads and that helmet, this could be it for some of these guys who are not going to get another chance in the league. Those guys, man, it's like that in the Replacements movie, right? With Gene Hackman. He's like, you got nothing to lose. That makes you all very dangerous people. I'm excited to see what the crowd is going to do. Do you think the crowd is going to have a little bit of an energized reaction that at least football is back and they have something to believe in with this team?
I hope so. It's also unfortunate that they don't have a home game until week 3 this season as well. So starting up on the road, I guess they have some home games to end the season, and that can be a benefit where they have tougher games where they're going to need that home crowd, hopefully with the team with a winning record that they can get behind. But Andrew coming in here also want to see Jamar Johnson put on a show tonight. That would be great. I think it was Mike Kliss had Jamar Johnson not even making the 53-man roster. I know Jamar has been dealing with illness this preseason off season as well, and Caden Stearns has been flashing like crazy, as well as I know Caden Stearns is a shiny new draft pick, but PJ Locke has also been extremely great in all the reps I've seen him as well. So putting Jamar Johnson on the bubble, but because we've seen him so little, maybe he's somebody you can sneak on the practice squad. Maybe was he a 4th round pick, 5th round pick? I can't remember which one of those two. So maybe, even though he was a higher day 3 pick, maybe you can get him on the practice squad. And talking about why Jamar Johnson might be on the roster bubble, Lord Deere coming in with the $7 Canadian up north of the border. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
He also depth. No, depth. We'll be in good shape this year when the injuries hit. Hopefully nothing catastrophic, but there will be injuries. Yep, that's an inevitability in football. You're going to have injuries. You just hope that they're not going to be to your star players, and if they are bad, you hope they aren't bad if they do happen, and also you hope that they don't linger and impact them down the line. But depth is going to be important. Are there any positions, Luke, where you are just both sides of the coin? Any positions where if there are a few injuries here and there, you think the Broncos can weather that storm, and ones where if they have 1 or 2 injuries, toast, season's done?
I think if Lloyd Cushenberry gets hurt, it's going to be very hard for our guy Quinn Miners that we absolutely love to come in and be the starting center. I think if you lose your Iron Man who played every game for you last year as a rookie, that would be devastating because it'd shift up the whole line. I would even think that Graham Glasgow sliding into center would be a potential option at that point. I don't know if you leave Dalton Reisner where he's at, throw in Quinn Miners at right guard. Quinn Miners and Natani Moody would have to obviously figure things out, but You've got some versatility there on the offensive line, something that Mike Munchak and Chris Cooper are playing with a little bit. I think a quarterback injury would be absolutely devastating tonight. If Drew Lock got injured, whether it be small or significant, that would be brutal to Broncos country. And it kind of ties into something else I wanted to talk about. This is why you don't trade Drew Lock. He's not done this year. He's got plenty of football to play this year. And the way that he handled himself after losing the starting job, I was so impressed. What a heartbreaking moment, kind of embarrassing if you were, but he just a total professional. I think that's one of the first steps of leadership, is sometimes eating that humble pie that he had to eat. And he did it with a grin on his face because he wants to be a good teammate. He wants to help Teddy, something I absolutely love. But if Drew Lock goes out there and gets like a strained foot or a twisted ankle or something like that, Brett Rippon's your backup quarterback to Teddy Bridgewater. You're in trouble, folks. And that's why you do not get rid of Drew Lock. You do not trade him. I understand that Gardner Minshew was given away for a bag of chips this morning. Couldn't believe it. And then my next thought to that is, what was Drew Lock's trade value? He doesn't need to be traded, folks. If it was as close as they say it was, and I think it was really close at the end there, then Drew Lock is here to stay for the 2021 season. I'm not sure past that point, but if quarterbacks got hurt tonight, Brett Rippon, I can go there with the number 3, but Drew Lock getting hurt, that would be devastating to not only him, but to the Broncos in general.
Absolutely. And talk about Vic Fangio's job being on the line this season, hot seat, they have to make the playoffs. Well, if you have Teddy Bridgewater out there who has had injuries himself, if he goes down, you can turn to Drew Lock and you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's insurance for Vic Fangio, and, making that decision to go with Teddy versus Drew. I mean, it screams to me self-preservation, thinking about this season, trying to, paddle upstream, considering this boat has been taken on water the last 5 years, not just on Vic Fangio's watch, but Vance Joseph as well. So that's really an important viewpoint as well for Drew Lock. And also he's making pennies on the dollar, right? Like he's so cheap right now. There's no reason to move on from him. And if, let's say you were getting offered, Scott pushed back at me on one of the morning shows, I think it was Thursday, where I said, like, if somebody offered me like a 4th this year and a 5th in 2023, maybe I would consider it, because that's 2 quality, cheap players that could be developmental pieces, but you're probably not going to get that. Scott said you might be able to get a 2nd for Drew Lock. I'm not sure if that's the case, given what we just saw with Gardner Minshew, but either way, you're not going to get that value. He's worth way more on this team as a potential guy who can develop into a quality starter down the line, given you have 2 more years of control and his tools that he has, than trading him for a late day 3 pick.
Yeah, if the phone's ringing, I'm answering the phone to see and explore and keep those options open, but I'm definitely not making any calls. Get ready to see a whole dose of Drew Lock tonight. And speaking of a dose, our guy Mohammed Badri's coming in here with a dose of love, $5 super. What's going on, Mo? Good to see you. Bron and the Smooth Killer in the house tonight. I miss you guys. We miss you too, buddy. It's good. We're almost there. We're almost to the regular season, guys. We're almost back to regular life, when life is perfect, when it's fall and when football starts. We're close, Mo. Hang on. Hope you and Malik are doing well. Appreciate the love, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get to this comment here from Tom Lindsay and kick it off to you as well, because I want to talk Tom off the ledge here. He says, if you take Sutton, Judy, and KJ off the team, then I would be okay with Teddy and his dink and duck game. But those 3 are deep threats. That ain't Teddy's game. Well, first off, Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina Panthers last year had 3 top 25 wide receivers in fantasy football last season. Also, Teddy Bridgewater had a higher average depth of target, or average air yard per pass attempt, than Drew Lock last year. And also, you're talking about KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy, both guys who they can do stuff down the field, no doubt vertically, but where Jerry Jeudy was incredible in college was over the middle of the field, working the slot, getting like a 10-yard pass, and then making that turn into like a 30, 40-yard pass after the catch. KJ Hamler can do a lot too, a little bit more gimmicky at Penn State, but I don't think you're talking about these guys as these pure vertical deep threat types. Sutton, yes, he's an above the rim deep threat. He can do some stuff after the catch, but Jeudy and KJ Hamler, those are guys who not only can win vertically, but get the ball to them in the right spot at the right time. Yak is going to be, evident, obvious. You're going to have a lot of it.
I completely agree, Tom. I respect your opinion, but I respectfully disagree. I cannot stand the notion, the narrative, the opinion, whatever you want to say, that Teddy Bridgewater cannot throw the deep ball. Just go back a couple weeks ago and watch that deep ball against the Minnesota Vikings in joint practices to KJ Hamler. Very similar, very eerily similar, I might add, to the Drew Lock bomb to KJ Hamler against the Vikings that same game a couple days later. Teddy Bridgewater can throw the deep ball, folks. I've seen it with my own two eyes at training camp, and he did it a lot. Now, there are certain things that I can't report while I'm there. It's just NFL protocol. But if you don't believe me and you don't want to take my word for it, fine. Dink and dunk Teddy. Go look at the yak that Nick was just talking about. Google Jerry Judy, Alabama right now and watch what he was catching. Because I guarantee you, I would say at least what, Nick? 65%, maybe 70% were passes around 35 yards, if not.
Yes.
I mean, it's the yak that makes him a true treasure. On the offense, KJ Hamler's an absolute burner. Sure, Teddy Bridgewater can throw him the deep ball, but you also got this guy named Noah Fant that everyone seems to be forgetting. Noah Fant looks like an absolute beast. He put on loads of muscle, it looks like, this year. Came into camp the best shape I've ever seen Noah Fant. And with Noah Fant, you've got a security blanket. Same with Alberto. So, yes, the Broncos are going to take some shots. You know that Vic Fangio likes his quarterbacks to take shots, but only when necessary. They want to play complementary football. That was the whole point of going to Teddy Bridgewater. Not that he was the safer option, but that he complements Vic's defense.
And also he complements Pat Shurmur's offense. You know, running the
Agreed.
shotgun, 3 wide stuff, more horizontal stuff. I think it was Arif Hassan who covers the Vikings, been covering them for the last decade, say that the Vikings offense lowest average depth of target was under Pat Shurmur's watch. You can succeed that way. It's not going to be the most exciting offense, but again, you just need a pass first point guard with this offense right now. And maybe eventually they will turn it over to Drew Lock if this team is struggling or Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt or they need a jolt. It's not time to bury Drew Lock yet. You know, Step Brothers, what are you doing right now? I'm burying you. It's not time for that yet. We still got a little time for that. I would say the people who are the hardcore, you know, Drew truthers are very beside themselves. You know, you're going to see, like you said earlier, you're going to see him at some point this season. So it's going to be good. And I'm honestly confident in either quarterback being good enough for this team in 2021. That's a different question than is either of these guys going to be the franchise quarterback for this team for the next decade. But for 2021, more than fine, really more than fine, especially if your goal is making the playoffs.
Let's say Teddy Bridgewater can't throw the deep ball. He's got a noodle arm. He does not stack up to Drew's arm. I give you that. Let's just go with those narratives. I'll ride with you for a second. Do you think defensive coordinators are going to be planning for Teddy Bridgewater to throw the deep ball? No, absolutely not. So what do you do every once in a while with play action, with a ground and pound? You try to toss one deep to KJ Hamler, who's going to burn your coverage. You saw KJ, the step that KJ Hamler has taken this year. I don't think anyone's talking about that, Nick. This is another guy I think that's taken his football acumen to an entire another level. You heard Drew Lock talk about that specific touchdown pass against the Minnesota Vikings, where both him and KJ Hamler were recognizing the defensive coverage. Every quarterback, when they step to the line of scrimmage, the first thing that they do is they read the safeties. Well, now you're starting to see the receivers with a high intelligence level with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Alberto, Tim Patrick. I can go on and on and on. The receivers are seeing what Drew is seeing. They're seeing what Teddy's seeing, and they're going to take those calculated risks when it comes. So that's something that I think you've got a little bit of an ace in the hole with Teddy Bridgewater right there, because every once in a while you can completely switch it up on folks, Nick.
Yep. I think it's a double-edged sword with Teddy Bridgewater, though, running the offense, because he reportedly has been much better getting to the proper run checks based on what the alignment is of the defense and where he has the strengths, you know, reading the numbers, reading the right or left side of the line. But even if he's getting the right checks, you're probably going to see more stacking of the box with him as compared to Drew Lock. And that means that the offensive line has to be that much better, stronger at the point of attack, because they're just going to have more guys. And also your running backs are going to have to be better at breaking those second level stops, first level and second level stops from the defense to create those home run, create those chunk yards, and flip field position. So, like when a run game, I like to think of the run game much more like a boxing match, right? Where it's kind of, you have a few jabs here and there, but you need to have those big hits every once in a while where you're gaining 10, 20 yards. And that might be hard. Even if Teddy's getting into the right reads, it might be a little bit harder just because run game efficiency is so much predicated on defensive box numbers.
That's interesting. That's a really interesting theory. Yeah, you're right. Every once in a while, you need a haymaker. I really like that metaphor. You need a haymaker, especially for this offense that's just been struggling. 17 points a game, that's not going to win you football. But if you've got a great defense and you can run that clock, you're going to win some games. That's going to make Broncos country feel good. They're tired of seeing losing football. I get the Drew Lock fans that are really upset. I totally get it. I'm not going to prod you. I'm not going to make fun of you because I saw the same improvement that you did with Drew Lock. But I'm not going to take anything away from Teddy. You're going to see him. Chill out. I promise you, you're going to see Drew and you're going to be excited when you do. And speaking of being excited, our guy, the 360 Nate coming in at a 499 super. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support. Nick, how long do you think we will be in the quarterback purgatory? I like Teddy, but he is probably the worst quarterback in the AFC West division, but I'm still going to ride with my Broncos for life. I absolutely love it. The 360 Nate, we need more fans like you on social media. If I could paste that and retweet it, I sure would, because Nick, he's going to ride with this team. He's not going to be booing Teddy, and I sure hope that no one does tonight at the stadium. Not to digress from the question, but Nick, quarterback purgatory. That's what the Broncos are in. Teddy's not the long-term answer. What's the next step with Teddy Bridgewater, and how do you rank him in the AFC West?
He's probably the worst quarterback in the AFC West, but that's not because he's terrible. It's just because how good, obviously Patrick Mahomes, probably the face of the NFL right now. Justin Herbert, it's either him or Josh Allen is probably the best ascending young quarterback in football. And Derek Carr is probably the most slept on quarterback in football. So
I think I would take Teddy over Derek Carr. I think I'm at that point right now. I think I'm there, Nick. I think I'm there. And it's not just because I'm excited for Broncos football. It's because everyone says they know what Teddy is. Don't we know what Derek Carr is already too? He's supposed to be the second coming of, better version than his brother, but come on, man. John Gruden has been looking to update that and upgrade that quarterback position as well. They can be neighbors all they want, but I'm telling you, Nick, I think with the tools, Teddy Bridgewater could supplant Derek Carr just because of that offensive arsenal this year. Teddy has never been on a team this talented, ever, in his entire NFL career. I don't care about the Vikings. I don't need to hear about any of that. They've never won anything, and they never will. I'm talking realistic stuff. Derek Carr, man, I think Teddy could supplant him this year. Could. I don't think he's there right now, but I think he could.
Yeah. I think Derek Carr is very underrated. And when he hasn't had a bottom 5 defense, that team has been very good. But he's not a quarterback where he has to have at least a top half defense to be good. So I think you put Derek Carr on this Broncos team, you're talking 12 wins. So we'll see. But how long are the Broncos in quarterback purgatory? Who knows? I mean, quarterback purgatory is unfortunate, but you can win games in quarterback purgatory. That's where we're at right now. It's it is what it is. Even if they do have the worst quarterback in football or in the AFC West, that's probably, it's not like the AFC East where you have a bunch of unknowns with Josh Allen there, or the AFC or NFC East also, or NFC South, excuse me, with a bunch of unknowns or a journeyman. It's just how good the AFC West is right now. And outside the quarterback position, I think this Broncos team's got the best roster. So I don't have a big issue with it. I just really need to see this team. The defense has to be top 3. The weapons have to take that next step. The young weapons especially have to take that next step forward. And the biggest question for me on this team, the one that's going to make the biggest difference for the season, obviously, because I'm just resided to what the quarterbacks are, what they are. How much better can this offensive line get? Because if this offensive line can become a top 10 unit in the NFL and they want to be this run first team, you can dictate offensively and play really complimentary football with how good this defense is. And we saw the Titans go all the way to the AFC Championship a few years ago with a good defense and a smash mouth offense that took shots because they were loading the box. If you can replicate that with this team, you can beat anybody any given Sunday. You really can. That's how good this defense can be.
Ooh, giving me goosebumps, Mr. Al Pacino right there with the Any Given Sunday reference. I absolutely love it. And what I absolutely love, seeing support from our crew on MHH. These guys want that Von Miller jersey and that mystery MHH gift to be announced. Stu McPeak sitting this King of the Hill right now at number 1 with 6,000 stars. Andrew Lampy serving up number 2, that silver medal. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Our guy Gary Leeds Palmer at number 3 with 500. And Michael Runquillo, good friend of the show, good friend of yours and I, also finishing up at 400. These guys and gals continue to get those stars in. And remember, folks, the more stars that you get in, they essentially act as raffle tickets per se. The more raffle tickets you have, the bigger the chance you get to win a Von Miller jersey and an MHH gift to be announced. Nick, we're kind of in the final segment of the show here. I kind of want to open it up to predictions. Nick, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't even know who the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams is tonight. Like, I don't know who they're rolling out there tonight, but God help them, because Vic Fangio's defense is playing well. I'm going to ask a basic question here, because the Broncos are undefeated in preseason. And before I give Pete a quick shout out, because I missed Pete.
There he is.
Pete Middleton, 500 stars. I'm so sorry. My apologies. That's my bad, Pete. Thank you for your time, your donation, and good luck trying to get that Von Miller jersey. We appreciate you, Peter. But
for sure.
Nick, preseason, some of those stats of preseason being haunted, with undefeated records translating to bad records in the regular season, stuff like that, I'm not necessarily willing to buy in. But are the Broncos going to ever give up a touchdown in the preseason this year? I mean, that's pretty impressive. I'll give Vic Fangio his due.
Good depth on the defense, man. And that goes to show the Broncos have had a bunch of late day 2 to mid day 3 picks over the last 3 years. And it's really showing up in these preseason games on the defensive side of the ball. Not showing up yet on special teams, unfortunately. But on defense, you're starting to see it. So what I'm looking for in this game is I want the defense to keep another great game in red zone defense, execute out there. That's something you need to see, especially with this Vic Fangio defense, how complicated it can be. The reason the Broncos had to play so much man last year to close out the season is because they were so beat up on the back end. Man is the most simple coverage. There's my guy, go get it, versus all the communication and chemistry needed for zone. But what I'm really looking forward here, I really want to see this Broncos offensive line take it to the Rams, because while the Rams have Aaron Donald, he's not playing today. This Rams team is pitiful depth. Every year after year, they burn draft picks like it's nothing. So their depth is bad. This Broncos offensive line needs to take it to the Rams defense, push them from the point of the spot, make it easy for the running backs. Melvin Gordon, maybe make a big run out there, and just slice them up, dice them up, dominate them offensively with the trenches. That's the main thing I'm looking for, because, man, like I said, I'm excited for Teddy Bridgewater in this offense this year. That's fine. But this offense is really actually going to go as far as this offensive line can take them. And maybe that's an unfair ask of them for this season, because if they had a franchise quarterback, you'd only need not a bottom 10 offensive line. But with where we are, top 10, if we can get that, we can make some noise this year.
My guy Pookie's going to make some noise tonight and get his first touchdown if Dalton Reisner doesn't rob him. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. Reisner last week, right?
Yeah.
No, I need my guy Pookie to get in there. I need him to do some rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, get Chris Berman all excited, because I'm telling you, Pookie's going to break onto the scene this year, folks, and you're going to see him on national coverage. You're going to hear Kay Adams talking about him on Good Morning Football. I'm telling you.
I hope so.
Watch out for Pookie. We all love Kay too, right? But no injuries, please, is what our guy Merlot is saying. I completely agree with you. That's the biggest thing. We're all keeping our fingers crossed tonight. So are the coaches. So are the players. I wonder a little bit if players are going to try to take care of each other, not play loose, because guys need to tackle, guys need to put out film for other teams, but they try to take care of each other. I don't anticipate seeing any fights, because that's probably going to get you cut immediately. But special teams, Nick, it was abysmal. Tom McMahon was asked, are there any up and comers? And he's basically like, no, nobody's looked good, except for Saubert. Watch out for Saubert. They love him as a wide tight end. He will make this team. They also talked about Andrew Beck. Tom McMahon did specifically, saying he loves what he can do on special teams as well. I want to see some tackling on the special teams. I'd like to see the punt team a little bit more. The offense has just been so damn efficient that we can't really get a good eye on some of these punt teams. But the punter, he needs practice. The special teams unit, they need practice, because they're going to be playing some good defenses this year, Nick, and you're not always going to be able to just march down the field and dominate the way you've dominated in the preseason. For me, I'm taking the Broncos undefeated 3-0. I'm predicting another blowout, if we're going to be honest. Let's do 24-9. No touchdowns. That's the story of the preseason for Vic Fangio, Teddy Bridgewater, and no touchdowns.
Yeah, shout out to Dave here with the stars, saying I don't need stars for the jersey. I star because I really love and appreciate the content MHH provides Thank you all. Broncos Book Club, Broncos for breakfast. Thank you so much, Dave. That's really nice of you. But definitely getting a chance to win that jersey is a big benefit. So that's something to look forward to. Also, we haven't even talked about him. I am looking forward to, somebody commented right here, Cooper tonight. Let's see some Jonathan Cooper out there dominating some terrible Rams depth at the tackle position. Andrew Whitworth's still playing. How the hell is that even possible? Like 42 years old. Him and Brady raced to AARP. I'm thinking Broncos are going to win this game. I'm going to go 31-12. I think they're going to give up 4 field goals, so they're going to be marching the field a little bit. You're going to see some, maybe Bert Urban throws a weak-armed interception in there somewhere to give the Rams a short field, but I think they're going to keep them out, and you're going to see the Broncos put up some points. So they're going to dominate in preseason. Does that mean the Broncos are going to be great this season? I mean, I think it was that Detroit Lions team that didn't win a single game a decade ago, where they went undefeated in preseason and then lost every single game in the regular season. That won't be the case for this Broncos team, but I think you're going to see them go 3-0, and not only 3-0, but dominating fashion in that point differential in preseason, because this is a team that's humming right now as far as the depth. Vic Fangio's out there trying to squeeze every ounce of juice out of this roster, the depth they have, and it is a deep team. It is a deep team. We'll see how good they are at the top when the real bullets are flying, but they're deep. They're definitely deep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I think a tradition is about to be broke for the Denver Broncos this year. A long-standing tradition. It could have been broken last year, but I don't think it was. I don't think an undrafted free agent is going to make the team this year. As I try to rack through the roster here and look, a lot of these cats have already been cut. Nolan Laufenberg, our local kid from Air Force, he got cut. I know Brandon Mack, see Devontae Dukes, he's been gone. I don't know that an undrafted free agent is going to make the team.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
bizarre. Because that's always
Andre Mintz. Probably not.
Practice squad, perhaps.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's kind of bizarre, but Nick, I'll take it because we've been wanting to build in the draft. Obviously, the league is made up of so many undrafted stories and so many undrafted players. I'd be curious to see, what the stats would be on that. How many are undrafted versus drafted? Obviously, drafted a little bit more. But I think that's an interesting tradition that I've always kept an eye on with the Denver Broncos. And it kind of just popped into my head as we had our final 2 minutes here. But, Nick, it's always such a fun show, man. We're going to get Broncos country out of here on the dot at 7 o'clock because kickoff is at 7:05. Your Denver Broncos will be taking on the Los Angeles Rams here at the final preseason game. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it. I haven't heard, but I know better. Zach and Chad should be on following the game as well. Be sure to get at the Huddle Up Pod after the game. They're going to take you through all of it. And guys, for Nick and Chad and everybody here at MHH, thank you so much for being super supporters, and you're on our MHH Mount Rushmores. Whether you can donate, whether you donate time, comments, your energy, we really appreciate it. We are truly blessed to be doing what we do. And Nick, it is good to have you back, man. I'm so pumped for football in 2021. I can't wait.
Yeah, man, it's going to be fun. It's great to have to be back with you again. We'll be here again next week as well, so super excited about that. Even though we'll be talking about the Giants game, but yeah, thanks everybody for joining us today. Thanks for all the super chats. Thank you for all the stars. YouTube, Facebook, folks, make sure you like the video if you haven't done so yet. And if you guys are over on Facebook, make sure you also follow us, join the content, discussing with us at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. And facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. For YouTube folks, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. And Chad, let's get those stars people back up here one more time because we want to give them a shout out. Obviously, you guys are going for the Von Miller jersey right now, as well as this special super double secret probation Mile High Huddle secret gift here. So Chad, pulling it up. Well, we know we have
one can only wonder what that is, because if you guys go over to the huddleuppod.com store, you're going to see all of our merch. I see our merch all around the Mile High City. I saw folks driving in from out of state to watch training camp. I apologize for you. It was kind of a tough training camp. Unfortunately, our quarterbacks didn't turn it on to the last second. But something tells me that you're going to get a cool amount of swag. Here we go. We've got it pulled up right now from all of our pods. It's just amazing, man. You get your kids outfitted in some of this gear, get yourself a hat, a t-shirt, a tank. Chad and Zach and all of our guys and gals at MHH are just always so creative. I don't have a creative bone in my body. So these cats are absolutely killing it. Grab yourself a hat as Nick's got right there in your view. Guys, we appreciate you so much. Nick, this is a blast, man. I'm so pumped to have you back. Folks have been asking about you. They missed you. They absolutely love your content. I missed you too. That Carl guy's okay, but it's good to see you back, man. And Broncos country, get ready for this game. Again, I want to reemphasize, as soon as the game ends, hop on over to this stream, and you're going to see Chad Jensen and Zach Kelberman, Andrew Baker coming in. Love y'all. Michael Ronquillo, what's up? Appreciate you guys so much. Give us those thumbs, likes, and go ahead and subscribe. Get this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. He's at Nick Kendell MHH. I'm at Luke Patterson LP. Let's go, Nick. Let's watch some football. You ready? You ready for some football?
I'm ready for some football. Let's go Broncos. We'll see you guys next Saturday, and we'll see you guys after the game.